I'm Andy Joyce, and I am from Portland, Oregon. I had a very late diagnosis. I was 44 when I was diagnosed. I think a lot of what I see is that people over 30 or 35 in particular are going undiagnosed and just wondering why it is that their lives don't work the way the rule book said. It's like this is what happened to me. It's like I just tried and tried and tried and tried so hard, to make people like me, and I couldn't do it. It's like I would just repel people I really cared about, and it was just bad. And it's like I would like the people who are in the same boat as me, who just feel like who feel like failures, that no, this is not your fault. You didn't do this to yourself. That that you're not the waste of skin that society wants you to believe you are. I really think that there are a lot of talents that are going to waste because people don't have the social skills to put them across to people, to sell them. It's like I know I've been in that boat, and I would like I'd like there to be more help with that, because I think women in particular, we're basically expected to be more socially adept than men. We're supposed to be able to decode people's unspoken desires and needs, without ever having to be told. And frankly, I stink at it. I'm terrible at that. It's like I really need things spelled out for me in a way that I know a lot of people would find kind of tedious. But if I need it, I need it. It's like if that's who you are, then there's no need to apologize for it. You just need to let people know. It's like I know that it's like when I went to my therapist who diagnosed me, that was the last thing on my mind. I just felt like I was depressed and had these perseverative thoughts that wouldn't leave me alone. And even though I tried to break them up, and I remember my partner, he said that maybe I should see a therapist who dealt with neurolinguistic programming, because that might help stop the perseveration stuff. So I looked up a therapist who was on my insurance who did that sort of thing, and I was with her in the office for 10 minutes, and she said, "You got Asperger's." I was like, "Really?" Yeah, because all the stuff that I had heard about Asperger's was about these cold fish computer geeks who didn't want to be touched, and that just wasn't me at all. And she said, "No, that's one possible presentation of it." It's like a lot of the time when we get it's like or there's other people who read about this stuff and diagnose themselves, because a lot of therapists don't have the tools to do that with adults. Adults have developed a lot of masking skills. We can go overlooked because by the time we're in our 30s or 40s, we've learned a lot of masking skills. We've learned to stim under the table or something like that. Where we can stop. We can appear fairly standard brained and for 10, 20-minute stretches. And then people expect us to be able to do that all the time, and they're very disappointed in us when we don't. I basically had a bullseye painted on my head as far as my peers were concerned. I mean, I wasn't even all that fat then. That came later after I got so severely depressed that I had to be on heavy-duty meds. But even without being all that fat, I was weird. It's like I couldn't keep my finger out of my nose, was constantly tripping all over myself, dropping things, bumping into stuff. It's like, yeah. Wouldn't have mattered what I looked like, I would have been picked on. And I was labeled gifted because I was hyperlexic and I knew lots of words. And at that time, they thought that meant I was some kind of super genius or something, instead of this just being, one area of acceleration. And I wasn't all that accelerated in other areas. You know, it's like, it was really hard because my parents expected me to get straight A's, you know, with the brain I had. And, you know, I just had too many distractions. It's like when I was in class and trying to pay attention, I have an auditory processing disorder too, which is something I also discovered much later, which is that, you know, if the teacher was talking and somebody else was talking in the room, I couldn't differentiate the teacher's voice from somebody else's. But I didn't know how to explain that to them. I had no idea. You know, it's like, I would just get really annoyed that other people were talking and wishing they would shut up. And, you know, it's like I would just get so involved in that and, you know, trying to figure out what the hell was so important that they were talking about that I would miss, you know, crucial sentences I should have been writing down. Yeah, it probably would have helped me if I'd had, you know, if I'd had closed captioning in the classroom or, you know, some kind of transcript of what the teacher said so I could look over it later. But, you know, again, they didn't know anything. You know, they just thought, try harder, try harder, try harder, try harder. And I tried and I tried and I tried. And oh my gosh, I think I made myself physically ill from all the trying. I mean, it's like as soon as I understood all these different things, you know, the face blindness and the auditory processing thing and the hyperlexia and, you know, all those other ancillary things that went with, you know, with being on the spectrum, it's, you know, I just went, it was like somebody turned on the light and I just went, oh. That's what this is. That's what this is. That's why I react this way. That's why other people react this way to me. But it's like, you know, and it's like, and then what happened after that was I got very, very severely depressed. I think after I was diagnosed, I really crashed because I had to go through this period where you know, I felt like I wasted my life not knowing about this. I wasted what should have been the best years of my life, and now they're gone and I'll never get them back. You know, I'll never have a chance to be young and carefree and understanding of myself and, you know, build a real life for myself and a nest egg and all those kind of things. And I got really, really depressed. Had to be put back on the hardcore meds again. You know, but it was necessary for me to go through all that. Because, you know, it's like, yeah, I mean, this is huge stuff not to know about. My grandfather, I'm pretty sure, was on the spectrum. He was never diagnosed. But, you know, I think my dad agrees with me. I wish I could have had more of a writing career. I mean, I did write professionally for a couple of years, and you know, it's like I kind of had an opportunity fall into my lap, and I took advantage of it. But I didn't, once that opportunity was gone, I didn't know what else to do. You know, I really didn't have any guidance, and you know, that career just sort of dried up for me. I'm writing a novel. There's actually two protagonists. One, you know, it's actually a teen novel, and there's two protagonists. One is a girl who plays baseball, and the other is a girl on the autism spectrum who's obsessed with baseball. And yeah, they have kind of an interesting, they develop a rather unique friendship, and the autistic girl helps the baseball playing girl, you know, get into a situation she couldn't have dreamed of, you know, in her wildest fantasies. It was ridiculous because I had this thing in my head, you know, since 2001. And I think I made the mistake of taking it to a writer's group, and you know, they just, you know, ripped it apart like a bunch of you know, crazed weasels. The idea wouldn't leave me alone. It just every once in a while would pop back up and be like, not now, I don't have time now, I don't have time now, I don't have time now. And then, you know, 2 years ago, you know, it just kept gnawing at me. You know, it's like, okay, you've got to, okay, if I don't do this thing now, it's going to eat me. You know, it's like when I finally paginated it and looked at it, I was just like, oh my God, this goes on for 6 million years. You know, it's like, and I've got like the Aspi attention to detail in a lot of areas, you know, where I will like, you know, go on and on about pencil shavings or something weird like that, and then I'll forget about stuff like, okay, well, how did so-and-so react to this thing that they did? I mean, that's like a pretty big thing to leave out. I would just like my financial situation to not be quite so hairy. I'm working on a disability application now, because in case this work dries up, it's like there's this and there's all these other issues that I have that are going to make it, and have in the past made it extremely difficult for me to work on site. I have gotten in trouble over and over and over again for what I now know were obvious autistic behaviors, in addition to all these other things I have like PCOS and you know, irritable bowels, and all this other stuff, all of which I think was probably exacerbated by the constant stress I experienced my whole life. I mean, I probably would have had them anyway, but I think it was really, really magnified by, just this low-level stress, that I went through just to survive. It was just like off the charts. It was like I couldn't relax for a minute. I can't remember, feeling, just really calm for a second. And you don't know how hard I tried.